Noted.
And we're off. I hit the record button.
Okay.
Ooh, that theme music. You know, the budget was all spent before we got to the theme music. That's why we don't have any. And then, of course, there was no money left for the graphics package. That's why we don't have any.
It's a work in progress, though.
But we've got our spirits. You know, you got to have the core of the show is you and me chatting. And that's it.
That is it. That's why we're here.
Everything else is window dressing.
That's right. I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise, broadcasting from Tarpon Springs.
And I'm in Brooklyn, New York, and Tom and I are here to unpack some shit.
I love it. The never-ending list that never gets done. I think this is could be a metaphor for my life.
I'm not going to say it's very familiar to me.
All right. Yes, dear.
No, I was going to say, what have you got for today? I'm excited to hear.
All right. X-ray feet.
Yes.
Boys of summer. They're all kind of the similar topic.
Okay.
Flowers, role-playing, boob-colored glasses, short money, and zoom around for the family.
Okay.
And I
have obituary.
Ooh.
Porn recommendations.
Uh-huh.
Like love, just know. Intuition. Toot your own horn, and love letters.
I love those much more than mine.
We'll get to all of these today.
No, not a chance.
Yes.
Go ahead, pick out your favorite one. Mine are, not as nearly as delightful as yours. What about?
Well, I love words and titles and stuff. You can definitely entice people with words, right?
Yeah, like your sexy something or others, and it turned out to be reading a book.
Leave me alone. That's super hot.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. Sexy talk has many levels, and I'm sorry you don't like that level of it. It's not the sexiest level.
So the problem is mine. You enticed with a sexy title, and you delivered, I'm reading a book.
Was that my thing? I think my thing was I like to be left alone.
Yes, I know. Well, I'll interpret it the way I made you out to be better that you're reading a book.
That was my sexy talk. Okay, so let me make it up with porn recommendations.
Let's go. Here we go. Get the kids out of the room.
I also want to point out it's Casual Friday. I don't know. I'm trying at home to make days feel certain ways because there's not a real sense of what. So I'm wearing a t-shirt. I was going to try to get by with wearing my glasses. You know, TV is so different than real life, right? I feel like sometimes the camera doesn't. It's exactly the same. I love these glasses. I feel like they make me look super smart, but the reflection.
There's 20 IQ points right there.
What did you say? Please repeat that. How are you feeling?
But
the reflection is
How does it make you feel? Yeah.
To wear my glasses.
That's what they should have gave the scarecrow. Forget the certificate or the diploma. Just give him some glasses. Boom, scarecrow. You're smarter now.
So let's go right to porn recommendations, and speak as freely as you feel like you can with your daughters listening to this show.
No,
my daughter doesn't listen to this show, so I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, all your here comes your porn recommendations. I don't watch pornography, and I'm a little bit disappointed with those that do. You're another cutting edge expository moment from Melinda McKinsey.
I said, let me make this up to you.
All right, we're waiting.
I had a conversation this morning with my niece, and we started talking about porn and men versus women. And here is a book I want to recommend. It's called She Comes First, and it's about, in the porn industry, most of the porn that I have seen is the guy nailing it, just hitting you really hard, and the girl's going down on the guy, and it's not a lot about what pleasures the woman.
Right.
In this book, She Comes First, it's actually written by a man where he explains how women have orgasms and what makes them have an orgasm, and pounding them super hard isn't necessarily the way to get it done. And I'm just curious.
What if you're in a hurry? What if you're angry with your boss?
You got to use some other tools besides the penis. So I'm curious, in your own personal experience with your conversations and your sexual activity with women, have you recognized that a woman coming first is really, really important?
You know what? It's funny. I was on a dating site the other day, and the woman was like, you describe your situation. I'm independently, financially secure. I have my I live I prefer to date somebody within 30 miles, and I've got a 12-year-old son, and he comes first. And I fired back. I said, I don't care about your weird sexuality thing with your boy, but it is important that you live within 30 miles.
You, oh Lord, not no. If she thought that was funny, you guys could get along.
No, I would never. I never wrote that to anybody, but I thought it. That's for sure.
That's a bold first move.
Let's push all the chips in.
But thank you for not answering me directly. How do you feel about my question?
What was I was so thinking about what I was going to say before you when I get to your question. So your question is exactly what's the last 4 words?
No. Have you recognized that a woman coming first is extremely important?
So is extremely important is the last 3 words. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting thing. Here, that's a good question. Frankly, when I'm done, my desire to please anybody except to getting a sandwich and taking a nap is very low. All right. So
most men.
Yeah, because I mean, once you release the testosterone nonsense, then you're no longer hunting or gathering or conquering.
Yes.
So that I've identified that as a good thing to do. Let's get not her out of the way, but let's make sure that there's a solid effort in here. We're gonna yeah, but many women are very, very different. Some are like that's important, and it is important. But it's funny because some women are like very difficult to have an orgasm, and then they're gonna be like, well, okay, as long as you're efforting, that's great, and then we'll work on you, but as long as the effort is there. So, but I'm saying the last couple of what are you gonna do? I'm up for anything. If a woman says, bring out the toy bag or bring out the whatever, I'm down for whatever. Whatever. I said, I'm a vessel.
As you should be. Studies have shown on average, it takes a woman up to 20 minutes to have an orgasm.
Or $200.
Would you like to guess for the men on average?
20 minutes?
On women, it was 20. On men?
I mean, does that mean you're physically doing something for 20 minutes or the whole entire act? Like, we're going to get into bed at 8 o'clock and after a significant cuddle.
In the area for 20 minutes. On average, I'm telling you on average.
That's why I hire that out to somebody else and I just come in for the big finale.
I am heartbroken that you think 20 minutes is a long time. If you're going to spend less than 20 minutes on me, what?
Now, the whole thing's going to be longer than 20 minutes.
Because you're going to spend that.
So I'm rubbing on my partner for 20 minutes, or
not necessarily rubbing, but getting the build up. You could be licking the nipples, doing other things to get to
licking the nipples. That's my specialty.
Getting to the point. But
that's what I'm saying. 20 minutes for the whole, getting to there. That's very reasonable. I'm in no rush.
On average, men, it's 3 minutes. It's
3 minutes.
On average, once you start doing the deed, it's an average. It is an average. So here's what I'm saying. Most women struggle with having an honest conversation about if they've been satisfied or not. And we have grown accustomed if we've had either one long-term partner or many partners with the same issue, which is, of course, the men typically will have an orgasm first because it does take the woman longer because there are certain areas that need to have pressure put on them.
You're not using the word deficient. I'm waiting for that.
I'm not going to use that word.
Just kidding.
We're all different. How do you know unless you're taught?
No, that's why people are thinking I'm just full of crap. But this is why I don't want to go to bed with a woman that I don't have any chemistry with, right? Because you're off on a wrong. It's an unfulfilling event. So half the work is being in the same mind space, having that great little chemistry with somebody. Then whatever happens, and whatever doesn't happen. I mean, I've had sex with women and I don't have an orgasm. And I'm fine with that. It's not automatic.
But that's not the norm.
I agree.
Right. So for women, and with this book in particular, it's called She Comes First. It's about teaching men more about women's bodies, not through the porn industry, because
No, that's
with
ridiculous.
the porn industry, which has ruined many a man, you get the impression we just want to be pounded real hard, and that's like our favorite thing. And that's really not what creates an orgasm. It's the rubbing of particular areas that we need consistent.
My wallet. Go on.
As in your wallet or your soul. But yeah, so I just think it's interesting. I think if people like porn, if they can use it in a way that helps them rather than
how did you flip this conversation about, you started out with your favorite porn and it turned into a book recommendation about She Comes First?
Okay, because I'm talking about the porn industry. Are you saying you're dissatisfied with the way this is going? Because I'm talking about porn recommendations. There is actually a movie about
We're still waiting for the recommendation.
There's a movie about this called The Masseuse.
Right.
It's porn. It's called The Masseuse, and it's about a man massaging a woman. So if you want to watch
is that with what's her name in it?
Jenna. She's a famous porn lady.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm thinking of something else.
Okay, yeah. She's famous. But yes, so I'm saying for porn recommendations, wouldn't it be great if you also were able to watch something you found titillating, but also maybe you learned something from it?
Of course.
I mean, I don't know that porn is always used for learning, but I'm just saying if you're going to go that route, you might as well use it in a way that's going to actually satisfy everybody and not just one party.
Yeah, I've been homeschooling since I was 14.
So my porn recommendation is The Masseuse.
Oh, that's a movie?
Yes, it's a porn thing.
Oh,
The Masseuse.
There you go. I like that.
What do you recommend from the porn industry?
Oh, stay away. It's nothing. It's a dark hole to nowhere.
I think that it is. I think it's very dark too. And but the reason I brought it up is because there are ways you could utilize things people consider porn to actually help. Because the whole idea with having sex is to enjoy it.
Right.
If you want your partner to have an orgasm, this would be a great learning curve. If you don't want your partner to have an orgasm,
absolutely. Because you go. I'm an older man now. Certainly, I probably felt differently when I was 20, stumbling around, thinking it's all about me. You don't have an idea. Your only reference to sex was what you've seen on an 8mm film that your brother had at a stag party, or you stumble into a Playboy and it's all airbrushed down there, and you don't have any idea what's going on. It's like, really? Don't they have any parts? Is it all just dark down there?
And I understand that, but I will say I think the youth today are spending more time because
kids today, I love it. Anyway, that's one of my topics.
The best sex I've ever had was when I was in my 40s and my partners were in their 20s.
Really?
They were quite attentive. That's what made this sex so good, is because they were very attentive.
Right.
And you think someone in their 20s maybe wouldn't be, but I think they were there to learn as well, and they took those techniques to other places, and I appreciate it and they appreciate it. But you never hear that. You always think guys in their 20s are just out to
Well, that's interesting because typically, I mean, you always get that woman, 25-year-old guy but not every 25-year-old guy goes after a 40-year-old woman.
Correct.
It's probably an interesting. That's an interesting thing that I'm hearing this for the first time, that man, the 25-year-old man, is attentive to the older, the woman that's older than he is.
Yeah, I think he was 27, but still 20s, in their 20s, which is not expected. So yes.
So you could have been his grandmother.
I mean, I don't think that was the concern at the time.
Was there? Speaking of role playing. When you get that 27-year-old in the sack, is there any role playing involved?
It wasn't spoken of specifically, but I will say one of them was very interested in learning things. Wanted me to teach them because they assumed since my vagina was older, it knew more.
Right, but did you ever go through a role playing, like you're the gym teacher, you're the chemistry teacher, and he's the student?
Not with the 20-somethings, but with older men, yes. Yes.
So which role do you take in those role playing? Now everybody's leaning in. I painted Melinda in a corner. She's got to answer a question.
You want me to say which roles I played when I?
Yeah, well, yeah. Are you the teacher or the student all the time, or can you flip?
I have flipped.
That's a gymnastic question.
Yes. I'm not a spinner, but I have flipped in the teaching role and the learning role,
Right.
both with older partners.
So with an older partner, you're what? Always the teacher or always the student?
No. It seems like with the older guys, they really always wanted to take the lead in that.
Yeah.
Where you're more of like the helpless, oh, I don't even know what my parts are for. Help me. Yeah, I haven't really had any experiences where a man wants to be completely taking control, like what's that called? When you hit them and
it's like a dominatrix or something. But
yeah,
I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking like in our improv classes. You have what do they call it? Status, high status, low status, right? Like I own the business and you're an employee, or I'm a general and you're a private. So we will assume the status, and then you try to reflect the status in the way that you walk or approach people, and then you will flip, and then the low status becomes high status, and high status becomes low status. All done in like an improv game.
Yes.
Right.
And we're going to talk about you in a minute, but do you have safe words? Because we always had safe words when we did this, just because you don't know how far someone's willing to take it. So I've always done a safe word. I've never had to really use a safe word, but I like having them.
I say that I think jokingly a safe word was bandied about, but typically stop that will pretty much end everything.
Well, for me, I guess it was a sense of comfort knowing that person felt like they could do whatever they wanted to try. And then if it got too much, I would say the word and it wouldn't be uncomfortable. They would just go to something else. I've never had to use the safe word, but I would love to know what roles you've played, sir.
Well, it's interesting because I'll just like you described, teacher, student. I've instituted a new one: postal worker and woman who's a little short on their postage. That was a fun game.
Okay.
Ma'am, you're $3 short on your postage. Well, I still have to get this thing mailed out today.
What am I gonna do? I don't know what to do.
So those are always fun games, and I always offer. I say, first of all, this is all fun and games. I'm not really a dominating type person, where I can start to bossing someone around.
Right.
That's not in my nature, but I enjoy that type of game where you're doing that thing. And I also said, hey, we can flip this at any moment. You could be the woman, the postmaster general, and I'm short $3. I mean, I'll go, either side of that game. But I can't remember ever being taken up on that offer. The woman inevitably wants to be the dominated person.
I did a really fun role play with a guy that I met here in this city where we had only met online. And so I told him I told him right at the last minute because I didn't want him to plan ahead. I was like 10 minutes away. And I said, I'm going to walk into this restaurant. I knew what he looked like from online. And I said, let's act like we don't even know each other. And he said, oh, I'm already talking to some people. This will be great. And I said, let's act like we're complete strangers. It was very exciting. I walked into the bar. He's with his friends. And I ordered a drink. And he looked at me. And I looked at him. And I was like, well, how are you? And the guys behind him, their minds were blown. Because
sure. Absolutely.
Super fun. I highly recommend that.
And, I've talked to... I don't have to talk to men about this, but I've talked with women who've never done that, who've never played any type of role games like that. It's a little sad.
You have to be a little vulnerable, and you have to be a little open to that. It's letting go of some control, which I recognize can be difficult. So I recommend it, though, highly.
It's fun, especially if there's no underlying domination desire, by the person who's, let's play this role, and all of a sudden, you're strapped down and bad things are happening.
Right.
They're working out, mental problems.
Yeah. You'll be my ex. And then, no, not like that.
Yeah.
But role playing is a lot of fun. And I do recommend it if you're meeting someone in public, but don't let them know to the last minute. So it's kind of a surprise. You can see how spontaneous they are. And you can just keep it light. And it was so much. He had such a twinkle in his eye because we're playing a game, like right off the bat, because we hadn't met in person. And just to watch the men behind him go, wow, how did that happen? You hear about this in movies.
Magic. You know what? It's funny because I introduced that to somebody a while back, right? That idea, and it was fun. We we broke up for other reasons and we're still good friends today, but had not been introduced to that idea or that concept.
Okay.
And it was very satisfying about 3 weeks into the relationship, because you never really know what somebody really thinks about something, right?
Of course, yeah.
Are you accepting this idea because you like me and you just want to play along, but you're really not on board, so you never really know. So she turned to me, and she says, I go, what's up? She goes, yeah, I'm $3 short on my on my postage. I said, here we go.
And scene. Nicely done. I like that a lot. That a lot. All right. That was a very smooth transition,
Thank
too.
You. That was one to the other. My gosh, it's 20 minutes. We only 10 minutes left.
Very good. Are we still doing our trivia this show, or is Davis
No,
on board?
he was short-lived. He had some sort of something or other expected from who. Maybe at another date. But that was fun. Davis popping in was fun.
It was super fun. We'll definitely do it and have your brother Patrick come in. I would love to do that again with Patrick.
What I'm saying. So that's role-playing done.
You've been talking about a couple of these for a few weeks now. I know X-ray feet was one of them. There were two I was very interested in.
Well, okay, let's do X-ray feet. It's not. Okay. It's kind of topic of the day. Remember, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but when X-rays were first invented in 1933 or whatever the hell it was, or 1942. Okay.
Yes.
Well, they used to X-ray your feet at a shoe store. Are you familiar with this?
Oh.
Oh yeah, you'd put your foot in a shoe, and then rather than the guy pressing the tip of it to determine how close your toe was to the tip of the shoe, they had a box that you put your feet in it with the shoe on, and they would X-ray your foot, and then determine scientifically that the shoe either fits or doesn't fit.
How long did that go on for?
Well, it went on until they determined that X-raying your feet is not a healthy.
Did they give a free ball of mercury as they left to play with? What are we doing here?
No, it was a bottle of cocaine. It was a hat with a lead brim in it.
I never heard of this thing. Okay.
Oh, well, there you go. So if nothing else, I brought a little piece of trivia, but I was going to tie that into the current thing with the COVID. Yeah, maybe we're saving people from being dead these days, which is wonderful. I mean, it was horrific, the first 100,000 people that died. And then it seems, even though the cases are going up, that the deaths are going down. Thank God of that. We're all very, 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 very pleased with that. But you don't know what the long-term effect might be. I mean, they're suspecting that this goes into your body and messes with your lungs and hearts and all sorts of things going on. And I'm just saying, the way that we fiddled with X-rays with the kids or for shoes, you're going to send kids back to school, and then some of them are going to get this COVID thing. And could you imagine just like a long-term permanent lung problem or something like that? I mean, we don't know what's going on.
We don't. That reminds me of a book I just finished called The Radium Girls. Have you heard about this? It's not.
Look at you reading books.
I know The Radium Girls was about I'm so bad with dates.
Madame Curie.
When we first came out with glow in the dark, like on our clocks and stuff, right?
Yes.
These factories of women working with the radium, and this book is all about the fallout, because these women would go home and they would be glowing, and everybody's like, isn't this cool? Look how fun this is. And they had it on they were instructed when they did this to lick their fingers as they were, so you can guess what happened to these women. But when it first came out, they were told, even though the men in charge knew it was not safe, they're like, it's fine, lick, do whatever you got to do. So they would go home glowing in the dark, laughing, until people started dying, their teeth were falling out. And then it became like, of course, and then they had to, even when they found out, it took a while because they were making so much money with these products. You know what I mean? But it was the same thing. They're like, radium's fine. Look how pretty it is. You glow at night. This is fantastic.
Yeah, you're like a glow stick. Right.
So The Radium Girls is a fantastic book on our history, really about industry and about healthcare, and I highly recommend that book. So
look at you. How many books do you read a month, do you think?
Here's what I do. I'll get 2 or 3 and mix them. So I'll read a little of one and go back and I go back and forth unless I really get sucked in. But I bet I read, I'm going to say 7 to 10 a month, maybe. I like to
Wow,
read.
that's wonderful.
It's relaxing. It's not always heavy stuff. Sometimes it's very lighthearted.
So what time of day are you doing all this reading?
It depends. If I wake up, like today, I woke up super early and I was really mad about it because I don't like to wake up early. So instead of doing something healthy like exercising, I got my little book out and I thought I like to wake up slow, right? So I just started reading. I didn't want to look at my phone right away because I feel like with everything that's happening, as soon as I look at my phone, there's a lot of stuff I don't want to know just yet.
A lot of stuff from Pam. Go on.
And so also, if in the middle of the afternoon I'm feeling restless and agitated, I'll sit down and take like 10, 20 minutes with a book just to calm myself down. And
nice?
Especially reading before bed is the big treat because I'm not with a partner. I'm all by myself, so I can read. When I traveled, my favorite thing was reading on a plane. There's nothing more relaxing than reading a book on a plane. It's lovely.
Wow, that's quite delightful. That's impressive. I'm sorry, I've got books stacked by my bedside, and I never read anything.
What kind of books do you like, though? Do you have favorite kind of stories?
I mean, I used to read Hermann Hesse, philosophical books, or what was I read? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, things like that. So I'll read just about anything, but I do tend to lean towards realistic things.
Yes.
Rather than fiction. I lean towards nonfiction. Although
I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I have always, since high school, I've read Stephen King. I really prefer biographies or historical events that have occurred because I find them fascinating. My niece just recommended a book called The Feed. There was something written a long time ago about when you become part of the feed. This was before the internet even occurred. What happens when you become part of the feed? So I'm going to read that to get myself really jacked up. And she recommended Trevor Noah's book called, what's it called? Born a Criminal or something because of apartheid and things that happened to him as a child. So I got that on audiobook so I could hear his cute little
isn't that something? You want to wrap it up with your last one?
Oh no. Okay, I want to talk about tooting your own horn. Toot your own horn. We all know the phrase, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, when you hear toot your own horn, does it make you think of something that's good or bad necessarily?
Probably I'm going to say that I'm thinking about a narcissistic person who's narcissistic. I'm going to put 4 syllables in that. And then that they're kind of bragging on themselves, or sometimes a situation where if you don't toot your own horn, you're going to be steamrolled by somebody else who's taking your ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. I was taught my whole life to not toot my own horn, that was a bad thing. And I learned once I got really involved in working for myself and being a 1099, if I didn't toot my own horn, I wasn't recognized. So I've been working on my balance between letting my bosses know what I've done versus, hey, everybody, and I think that's very important, especially for women, because I don't think that we've ever really been taught how to toot our own horn in a healthy way so people understand what we've done. I have found in life, if I work a job and I don't explain what it took to get there, people assume that it was quite easy for me.
Right.
Just like working in television, you know how many people have said, I want to do your job? I'm sure they say to you too, I want to do that. It's so easy. You just get out there and talk. So I continue to run my bosses. When I did this job, this is the research I did. Bless you. This is why I spoke this phrase. This is, there's a science behind it. You don't just show up and start blowing smoke. It's a process. And so I find, because my bosses don't work in television, for me to remind them what I've done helps them recognize what it takes to get there, because people do think working in television is quite an easy job.
I agree with you. I've come up with a little formula where I will toot my horn in an email or whatever it is, but then I compliment the team.
Of course.
I said, I've been working on my wireless microphone so the microphone sounds better.
Yes.
I've also been, that placard that I put up next to the camera allows me to hit bullet points comfortably. So I'm thinking about audio, I'm thinking about my bullet points, and I copied the 2-minute spot that the masterminds came up with back at the home office. Why should I reinvent the wheel when I could just go ahead and copy? So I'm complimenting the guy that came up with the 2-minute spot. I'm telling people that I'm working on, I'm not out here just winging it. I've got a plan, and I understand that, audio is everything, and I'm wearing high-end mics and I'm trying to solve these problems because, you know, everybody's left to their own. Some people just use their phone. Some people use
Right.
an iPad. Some people just using whatever. But,
Yes.
so, but then I say, once again, the team really came together to make this a successful item. It's, certainly
It is
that's
a
not me.
team. It is a team. It's not just one person. And I always will do that when I speak to my bosses, thanking them for the opportunity and the team that I worked with.
Absolutely.
If one person falls apart, the whole thing falls apart. And that's why it's very important to acknowledge. I fully agree. And I feel like that's why I've gone as far as I have. I'm 59 years old.
What?
In reality, I shouldn't even be working in television. That's not the norm. And I think the reason I've sustained a working environment is because I fully acknowledge what it takes around me to make this thing work. It is not me. And we all have to raise our game and lift each other up. And I think it's like that in everything.
No, and it's necessary to toot your own horn in a very subtle way so people can appreciate it, because it does. If something's hard, you watch Greg Louganis do 3.5 twists on a diving board. You go, well, that's easy. Well, no, it's not easy. It's not easy. Go ahead and give it a try. And then, I mean, it's funny because I remember the local radio sports station would give people an opportunity to come on and be a host for a day. He'd have a contest.
Yeah.
Well, inevitably, the guy would last, 108 seconds before the wheels fell off. Whereas the regular guy could sit and literally talk for an hour without any guests, without anybody calling in, because he had a rhythm and a plan and he knew how to handle it. Where the new guy thought, I'll just go wing it for an hour and a half.
Yes. And it is a compliment that people watch our performances on television and say, hey, that's easy. I want to do it, because we do make it appear that it's easy. But the reality is, if you're good at any job, you've worked hard to get there. You don't just show up one day and start doing very well. And
there we go. We've tooted our own horn.
We tooted our own horn. And real quick, I want to make a mention.
Are you selling those now?
Stringed instruments I think are very important. My friends, Ginny and Holly, they go under Gin Hall. They take stringed instruments and make them.
Wait a minute. This sounds like an advertisement.
I'm not selling them. I just love them. They started doing this many years ago. I think before I moved to New York.
Just paid advertising? What's going on?
Here's a beautiful piece my friends made. Ginny and Holly from Safety Harbor, Florida.
What's the name of their company?
It's Gin Hall, like mosaics or something like that. I mean, someone could reach out to me.
Gin is a gin? Like having a gin and tonic?
What about a gin tonic?
How do they spell Gin Hall?
Oh, Ginhol, Gin Hall, because Ginny and Holly.
Ginhal. Hol. All right. So if we're going to find them on the internet, how do you find them?
Just reach out to us on YouTube and I'll give you. I'm not trying to.
This is a half-assed advertisement for your
friends. Is it though?
Yeah,
okay,
for your friends. I'm encouraging. I'm just kidding. I'm encouraging it.
I tried to find their business card before.
There's 7 people are watching that, and then 1/8 of them would be interested in that.
They make these beautiful. They take all their stringed instruments and make these beautiful things. They make them especially for you, because I'm Irish. I like the luck of the Irish, the four-leaf clover, but they'll make it specifically for you. So I just wanted to acknowledge my friends Ginny and Holly.
That's nice. We're not here to advertise here stuff, okay, Linda? This is a serious podcast, not some way to shill carts and guitars.
Is Carry Cart one of our major sponsors?
The only sponsor.
In home, where are they? Lowe's? They're in Lowe's?
They're not yet. I'm supposed to do the paperwork for tractorsupply.com today. I'm on Lowe's.com.
Okay. And
HSN, we're on there tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. And then I've been doing Amazon Live. I got one order for something. I'm very proud of myself, because I didn't pay for advertising, but they let you advertise for free. Sold a green cart.
Of course you did. Of course you did. I knew you could do it. Congratulations.
And now we're way over our time. Who was that person that said we need to make it 30 minutes? Who was that person?
Right.
Give a name.
I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise.
Thanks
for unpacking some shit.
That's right.
And then we'll be back on Monday.
On Monday.
The good Lord willing and the creek don't rise.
That's right.
All right. Have a good weekend.